जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यमुनतीरावनचारी। यमुनतीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन। यमुनतीरावनचारी। यमुनतीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जाम विष्णुपाद परम सप्रव्रजकचार्य स्तोत्र शत श्रीमद श्रील अभय चंद्र रविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। जय श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि बोल। All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtabhutari Shmadhanadana Swami Namani. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtabhutari Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadeshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiret Nashta Preshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Seva Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So we don't repeat the verse, so I'll read it myself. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 16, entitled Praise of King Prithu by the Professional Reciters. Text 19. Ayam tu sakshat bhagavam striyadishah kutasta atma kalayavatirnah Yasmin avidya rachitam nirartakam Pashyanti nanatvam api pratitam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki. This king is the master of the three worlds, and he is directly empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is without change, and he is an incarnation of the Supreme, known as Shaktavesha Avatara. Being a liberated soul and completely learned, he sees all material varieties as meaningless because their basic principle is nescience. Purport. The reciters of these prayers are describing the transcendental qualities of Prithu Maharaja. These qualities are summarized in the words Sakshat Bhagavan. This indicates that Maharaj Prithu is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead and therefore possesses unlimited good qualities. Being an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Maharaj Prithu could not be equaled in his excellent qualities. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is fully equipped with 6 kinds of opulences, and King Prithu was only empowered in such a way that he could display these 6 opulences of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in full. The word kutastha, meaning without change, is also very significant. There are 2 kinds of living entities, Nitya Mukta and Nitya Bhada. A Nitya Mukta never forgets his position as the eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who does not forget his position and knows that he is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord is Nitya Mukta. Such a Nitya Mukta living entity represents the Super Soul as his expansion. As stated in the Vedas, Nitya Nityanam. Thus the Nitya Mukta living entity knows that he is an expansion of the Supreme Nitya, or the eternal Supreme Personality of Godhead. Being in such a position, he sees the material world with a different vision. The living entity who is Nitya Bhada or eternally conditioned, sees the material varieties as being actually different from one another. It is in this connection we should remember that the embodiment of the conditioned soul is considered to be like a dress. One may dress in different ways, but a really learned man does not take dresses into consideration. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 5:18, Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Svapakye Cha Pandita Samadarshinaha. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater, outcast. Thus, a learned man does not look upon the dresses that externally cover the living entity, but sees the pure soul within the varieties of dress and knows very well that the varieties of dress are the creation of the nescience, avidya rachitam. Being Shaktavesha Avatara, empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Prithu Maharaja did not change his spiritual position, and consequently there was no possibility of his viewing the material world as reality. The translation of the verse again. The king is the master of the three worlds, and he is directly empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is without change, and he is an incarnation of the Supreme, known as Shaktavesha Avatara. Being a liberated soul and completely learned, he sees all material varieties as meaningless because their basic principle is nescience. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Behivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we continue our discussion how these professional reciters are glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his Shaktavesha Avatar, the King Prithu. And this verse is very interesting and significant, and also Prabhupada's purport. It's interesting that he perceives everything in this material world, and in fact in all the worlds, to be of one nature. He sees all material varieties as meaningless because their basic principle is nescience. Usually we have this dualistic view that there is God and there are different Lord's energies, like living entities, like material world. But here this says that these material varieties are meaningless. And this basic principle is nescience. And we can perceive this nescience in conditioned life. And it is expressed and perceived by fear. So here in South Africa, this fear is very obvious. When I first came to South Africa, I thought that every second house or building is a prison, because there are barbed wires everywhere, and I thought this is a prison. And I was asking devotees, is this a prison? And they, and they were laughing. No, this is just ordinary buildings or state buildings. Yes, but and this fear comes from bodily identification, in fact. Because we identify with our body, we identify with our material position, we are afraid of losing our existence. This is basically fear of death. Yes, and because we are eternal living entities, we don't want to lose our existence. And we see different varieties, material varieties, as either that support our existence or that they threaten our existence. And this is called in third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam as Pritak Bhava. Pritak means separate, and Bhava means existence. And because we perceive ourselves as different from the Lord, so we struggle for existence on our own. Yes, and therefore Krishna repeatedly says in Bhagavad Gita that we should give up our raga and bhaya also. Raga means attachments to material world, and bhaya means fear. Vitaraga, bhaya, krodha, and of course anger. Anger is also connected with my material desires, for my material prosperity. Vitaraga, bhaya, krodha, manmayam mamupashita. Bhagavo jnana tapasa putamad bhavam agata. Yes, that those who are able to give up those material entanglements and pushings of raga and dvesha by a dint of spiritual knowledge, and they can develop pure love for me. Pure love for me. Yes. So, and Prabhupada in his purport is explaining that this Pritak Bhava he's putting like it's Nitya Bada, the living entities who are Nitya Bada, who are eternally conditioned, perceives everything as different from themselves. And because of this nescience, as it here explains, which is called avidya in Sanskrit, because of this avidya comes asmita. And asmita means I am. And I consider myself as a man or a woman, or a black or a white, or South African or Slovenian, or Russian or British or whoever. And because of this identification, then comes raga. I want this, I want that. And this raga, attachment, and this identification is not just Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai, Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki jai, Nitai Gaur Pramanandi. This asmita, that I am, this idea, doesn't come only, it's not just perceiving myself as a body, but it's, I perceive this as my world. I'm attached to my family, I'm attached to my culture, I'm attached to my language, I'm attached to my football club. I'm attached to everything that surrounds me. I'm attached that in this corner of the town is my shop. I'm attached to so many things. Who can count how many attachments we have? So it's completely impossible to go beyond these attachments by our own. Therefore, Krishna says in 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Devi Hisha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratya Mam Eva Ye Prapadante Mayam Etantarantiti. We cannot go beyond this nescience on our own. Impossible. So we need Krishna's mercy. We should surrender to Krishna's, he says. Mam Eva Ye Prapadante. Eva means certainly, without doubt. The word which supports something very strongly. Mam Eva. And therefore, Krishna stresses in Bhagavad Gita time and time again that we should train our consciousness, train our mind. It's just like a physical training. or a military drill in some way. Because we are so attached to matter, to material environment, that we naturally are always drawn into it without our even knowing it. And to change this natural drawing of material energy, we should have trained mind. Because Krishna says, for example, in 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Mayeva mana adatsva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivesishasi mayeva ata urdvam asamshaya. That one should have fixed consciousness, fixed mind on me. Mayeva mana adatsva. And he should have fixed intelligence on me. And then he can always dwell in me and comes to me without doubt. But in the next verse he explains, if one is unable to do this, and usually the conditioned souls are unable to do this, atachetam samadatum nashaknoshi mayistiram. So if you cannot attain such a samadhi, then abhyasa yoga natato mam ichaptam dhananjaya. So we should devote ourselves to abhyasa yoga, to this training of consciousness. That means sadhana bhakti. And then we will develop desire to attain him. Otherwise we will be always nityabada, without any possibility to go out. Because if you are a little bit spiritual lazy, and it is not recommended, spiritual laziness, if we are spiritual lazy and we don't consider very much about how important it is, this fixed sadhana bhakti, we will count on Krishna's mercy. usually is like this, isn't it? We'll count, I have different material desires, I have my weaknesses, but Krishna is merciful, and He will definitely make me to the spiritual world. This is usual way of thinking, isn't it? But Krishna is so merciful that Prabhupada said that if we have desire for one chocolate, that He will give us the body to taste it. So yes, Krishna is always merciful, and if we have material desires, He will definitely fulfill our material desires. And in 8th chapter, he also explains like this, the principle, yam yam vapismaram bhavantya jantante kalivaram, tantam aveti kaunteya sadatat bhava bhavitaha. That whatever state of consciousness one has at the time of death, that state he will certainly achieve. So it's nothing about miracles, nothing about that Krishna will show us some other mercy that we want. Because this desire for spiritual world, if we are spiritual lazy, it's not in fact desire for spiritual world. It's just our word for enjoyment. And we have the conception of the spiritual world as some kind of heaven. So we say spiritual world, but we have in mind heaven. And Krishna knows this. So if we maintain our material desires, Krishna will be so merciful that He will make us in heaven, where we can enjoy very much with our material senses, purified material senses, very much purified. Yes, but the living conditions are very, very nice in heaven, and the life itself is very long. Life itself is very long. So when we come back, and we definitely will come back from heaven, we may miss the time of Lord Chaitanya. And this is real shame. Because this is the utmost mercy by which we can attain something beyond the residence of Vaikuntha. By mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And He comes only once in 640 million years. So, if we miss Him, this is terrible. So we shouldn't miss Him. Therefore, Krishna explains also in 8th chapter, just after he's speaking about this, how is our consciousness, our destiny depends on our consciousness, basically. He says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mama nusmara yudyacha. That therefore, Tasmat means therefore, it is conclusion of some thought. Therefore, you should always think of me. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudyacha. And perform your duty. You're a fighter, so you fight. And then, again, just the next verse, he explains, Abhyasa yoga yuktana chetasana nagamina. So, because in this material world, no one can think all the time of Krishna except if he's Nitya Mukta, as here explained. So, Abhyasa yoga, train your consciousness, train your consciousness. So we should be very, very fixed in our sadhana. Extremely fixed in our sadhana. If we are not, then it means that we didn't understand Krishna's message. So, and most important sadhana is, of course, chanting of Lord's holy names. And it's Yuga Dharma. We cannot go around this chanting of the holy names. And this chanting, of course, should be offenseless, as Prabhupada repeatedly stresses, that we should chant at least 16 rounds without offense. Usually we tend to take just the first part, to chant 16 rounds, but we forget about without offense. So it's really important to know what are the offenses. And in the morning we repeat the offenses to the holy name, but the nature of the mind is, if something is repeated regularly, then doesn't take it seriously. It goes just by, we don't even notice. We can repeat by heart, but doesn't go into the heart. So yes, this should be taken very seriously, because one of the offenses is inattentive chanting. And inattentive chanting means that we put our attention to something else. So if we speak to other people during our chanting, this is the offense. Or if we do something else during our chanting, this is an offense. And the ultimate distractor is our phone. So when we chant, I recommend we switch off the phone and put it in some other room. And no sound should come out of the phone. Yes. And here it is interesting in this verse how we should perceive everyone as part of the Lord. In fact, as part as ourselves. It's interesting, in Srimad Bhagavatam, in 10th canto, there is a story how Brahma stole Krishna's boyfriends and calves. And then for a year Krishna expanded into exact number of his friends and calves. And then it was interesting that mothers of these boys and calves loved their sons, who were now Krishna, more than they loved their sons and calves. And Parikshit Maharaj was surprised that, because Shukadeva explained, Shukadeva Goswami, that these mothers and cows loved Krishna more than their own children. And then during this year of Brahma Vimohan Lila, they loved their sons and calves as much as they loved Krishna. And then Parikshit was surprised how it's possible that someone loves other child more than his own child. That this is not natural. We can see in this world that everyone loves their children the most, even if they're naughty and not well behaved and not good at school. Still, They love him more than the neighbor's son, who is very good behaved, who is the best, has the best marks in school. But they love their child more. And Shukadeva Goswami answered to this question of Maharaj Parikshit. He says, Sarvesham api bhutanam nripasvat meva balabha itare patya vitadyas tatvalabaita evahi. That everyone loves just himself. So it's interesting, huh? We love just ourselves. And whatever we love, our sons, our daughters, our wealth, our houses, is just because they're related to ourselves. So, but it's interesting that they loved Krishna more than their sons. We love Krishna more by nature than ourselves, because Krishna is our super self. So, because Krishna is also our self, but our super self. So we should perceive every living entity as part of Krishna. And if we don't, it's just, as is here explained, it's just the principle of nescience. And therefore this hatred comes, as this is black, this is white, and so on. And when we perceive that everyone is part and parcel of Krishna, then we become everyone's servant. And this is the only way to establish a relationship with Krishna. In fact, yes. In yesterday's verse, it says that the king will intimately associate with liberated persons. So he will have a loving relationship, intimate relationship with liberated persons. And that he will be chastising hand to all impious persons. We could say that it is also Pritak Bhava, that he sees one as fit to have intimate association with them, and others fit to be punished. But in fact, this is also expression of his service. So the king's service to certain living entities is to punish them. And this is also the parents' service to their children sometimes. Because modern world is so deluded that they think that one kind of duty is maybe good and is service, and the other kind of duty is not. And it is explained by Krishna that this is the consciousness of rajas and tamas. Because when we are in rajas, then we don't know what is good and what is bad. And when we are in tamas, we take bad as good and good as bad. Just the opposite. And we see in this world, everything is upside down. And therefore, everything is in chaos. In fact, all the world. So we should take this Krishna consciousness movement very seriously. It's our only connection with Krishna. This process, the process of Krishna consciousness. Of course, if we just consider ourselves as Krishna's devotees or Hare Krishna, it's also just another upadhi. Just another identification, material identification. I'm Christian, I'm Muslim, I'm Hare Krishna. But we should, our real identification is just I'm Krishna's servant. Jivara Swarupa Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. I am eternal servant of Krishna. And Naham Vipro Nachanara Patir, Napi Vaishya Nashudro, Naham Varnya Nachagriha Patir, no Vanastoya Tirva, Kintu Prodan Nikila Paramananda Purnabrita Videra, Gopi Bhartu Patakamala Dasa Dasana Dasa. That we should have this consciousness that I am just a servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, who is the master of the gopis. Yes. Otherwise, if I think I'm a husband, I'm a wife, I'm a grihasta, brahmachari, vanaprastha, sannyas, this is just material identification, and it's not bhakti, because bhakti is defined as sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatvina nirmalam hrishikena hrishikesha sevanam bhaktir uttama bhaktir uchyate. So bhakti is to give up these upadis. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't act according to our position in this material world. So father shouldn't say, oh, this is upadi that I'm my father, because it is really, it's upadi. But we should act as a father. So we shouldn't give up our duty as a father, or as a mother, or as sannyasi, or brahmachari, or a grihasta. But we should know that this is just some position I was put in by Krishna's will to serve him according to his desire. Yes. And this is the only purpose of our life. Otherwise, we'll just continue this journey in this material world, in three worlds. Therefore, it's called Nitya Bhada, eternally conditioned. Eternally conditioned. It is explained. Usually we tend to understand this, that in some point of time we came to material world. Isn't it? But time has nothing to do with spirit. And we are spiritual beings. So this conditioned is therefore explained as anadi avidya. Anadi means without beginning, because time has its beginning and its end. So our conditioning is coming now, because spirit is eternal presence. It's not about past and future. It's about now, what state of consciousness you have now. So if now our consciousness is conditioned, it's ever conditioned. So the only solution is to connect our consciousness to Krishna. And this is by abhyasa, by practice. By practice. Yes. By training our consciousness. Otherwise, we have no hope. Under the guidance, of course. And even though we practice, this is not in our power to go beyond all our attachments, as we explained. It's just by Krishna's mercy. So, by this practice, constant practice, we'll constantly remember Krishna. And then Krishna will know, yes, he wants or she wants to have relationship with me, not with matter. So he'll enable us to go beyond this material consciousness. Okay, we'll stop here. Hare Krishna. Do you have any questions or comments? Yes, please. Is there a mic? Hare Krishna.
I have this tendency to think that my service is the best and other services that other devotees are doing are lower. I like to think that my service is the best and other services are not, because I'm doing it. So is that the same mentality, but we're bringing it into Krishna consciousness?
And that my service is the best.
Yes.
First I understood it as mind service. Yes, this is Pritak Bhavan. And it's explained as that this is a Prakrita devotee or a neophyte devotee. Has this idea. It's only me and Krishna. And my service is the best. But this is conditioned consciousness. This is still material consciousness. Because every service is perfect if it is done with desire to please Krishna. And this is expressed by Lord Ramachandra in this famous story when Hanuman was bringing mountains to make a bridge toward Lanka, and he wanted to chase away this spider or squirrel or what was it, who was just throwing some sands of some grains of sand into the sea. So he considered his service as better, but Lord Ramachandra told him that no, your service is great, but his service is as great as yours, because he gives his best to his service. So whatever service we can perform, it's perfect if it is done with proper consciousness, with proper attitude. Because Krishna is absolute, nothing is outside of him. He doesn't need anything. He's Atmarama and he's Aptakama. That means he's completely satisfied in himself, and whatever he desires, it's already fulfilled. There is no gap between his desire and fulfillment of his desire. So he doesn't need your service. You serve him all the time. Either you are liberated or conditioned. Because this is our natural position. We cannot live without serving Krishna even for a moment. Even if we are most ardent atheist, we serve Krishna 24/7. So we should understand this, that we are completely insignificant. This is a really important state of consciousness. Once a devotee came to Srila Prabhupada and he said, Prabhupada, I'm most fallen. And Prabhupada said, you're not the most anything. You're simply insignificant. So we should know we are simply insignificant. And whatever I can do, it's still not enough, because usually we know that we don't give 100% all the time. Is there anyone here who gives 100% all the time to Krishna's service, to service of Krishna's devotees? No one is raising his hand or her hand. So we don't give everything 100% all the time. So that should make us humble. That we know that we are not really making even what we can. So our service is far from being the best. It's our meager attempt to satisfy Krishna. And if you see that other devotees are serving Krishna, we glorify them. And we see them as in the light that they perform more service and better service than we can do. And we respect them. This is proper attitude. And even if they don't, Krishna will take our consciousness as very good. So we should keep this kind of consciousness, that others are better than I. Hare Krishna. Any other question? A comment?
Hare Krishna. Wonderful message. I always like to make a statement to say that we know our identity in Krishna conscious. Because I'm a Christian, so I always elaborate on being a Christian and learning from Krishna conscious. So as Krishna, we know He is absolute. He's Godhead, and there's nothing else. If you can't surrender, and if you can't bow down to Krishna, then you're not selfless of your faith. So I believe when you give surrender to your Krishna conscious, and especially knowing that you're a Christian and going out there and giving what you need to give, you have to have somebody to know that who's absolute around you, because you're just an immortal being. And my question is that you mentioned about third heaven?
About?
Third heaven?
Yes.
So we're studying the third heaven now, right? So I assume that it's about the stars and moon and all that stuff, and what's happening to our planets now, and we're getting extra planets in between and new names and all that. So my question is like that third heaven, would it be like something that we need to explore and to intervene in it by any way?
So that we should explore?
It's already explored. So I'm saying, should we do that? Because there's so much of global warming and things like that. So I can't understand why the integration of the planets to be moved.
So you're asking about the bad condition of the environment?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. This is the consequence of the pollution of the heart.
Okay.
And it cannot be removed by some political decision.
Okay.
It should be removed by the change of consciousness.
That's my
So,
point.
of course, if we pollute the environment by some drilling of oil and the oil goes to the sea or something, we should remove this. And this is our duty.
Mm-hmm.
But if we don't change our consciousness, we will pollute everything again. Mm-hmm. Because this pollution comes from greed. Why we pollute things? Because we want to make money on something. And those people, and we should know this, they who make the most money, they don't consider bad condition for others. In what conditions people are living.
Okay.
They just want to be richer and richer. This is the nature of greed. It is explained that for one who is lusting, greedy, there is not enough women in this world and not enough riches. in this world, not even for one person. What to speak of, of many. And because we are being raised in such a society, we all have these demonic tendencies.
Exactly.
Not just these most rich people. Why they have demoniac tendencies? Because everyone in this world have demoniac tendencies.
Okay, thank you.
So, we should remove demoniac tendencies first from our heart by taking serious this Krishna consciousness process. And when we remove these demoniac tendencies, which are so ingrained that we don't even understand them. We don't understand them because we were raised, we were schooled, we had friends, we shared views with others with these demoniac tendencies. And at least in the West and also here and also in India, even our parents had demoniac tendencies and their parents. And so we are so permeated with this demoniac mentality, it's impossible to give them up on our own. It's just by Krishna's mercy. But we should call for Krishna's mercy. When Gaur Govinda Maharaj opened the temple in Orissa, he said that he opened the school for crying. So we should learn to cry, because there is no other hope. It's no other hope. We cannot purify our heart alone. And it is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, from the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, that we are unable to purify our heart alone. Therefore, Shrimvatah Svaketah Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantak Stohya Badrani Vidinoti Suhrit Satam. That Krishna is situated in the heart. Hridyantak Stah. He is in the heart. And He will purify us when He sees that we are really serious, that we want to give up these material tendencies and we want to devote ourselves to His service. Then He will purify us. It's not in our power to purify our consciousness. Therefore, we should really devote ourselves to Shravanam Kirtanam, to hearing and chanting. And then by this purified consciousness, by Krishna's mercy, we should go out and give this jewel to others. If we don't do this, then we are thieves. We were given this jewel just to help others also, not to keep it for ourselves. And if we keep it for ourselves, we'll lose it. So that doesn't mean, of course, that everyone should become a preacher in outside world, but he should spread Krishna consciousness according to his position. So mother should be Krishna conscious mother from the very beginning. Father should be Krishna conscious father from very beginning. And for example, because I'm mentioning fathers and mothers, because I'm a father. So the duty of a grihasta is not to make money. This is one of his duties, but his mission is not to make money. Usually many grihastas think like this, that this is my position, that I should make money. This is one of the duties. But our mission, also as a grihastha, not just as brahmachari, vanaprastha and sannyas, is to spread Krishna consciousness. And this most important mission for grihastha is to spread Krishna consciousness in his own family. And their children are Krishna conscious. And his wife is Krishna conscious. This is the duty of a husband and a father, and mission, the foremost duty. Yes. So we shouldn't mix up things. And by this purification, then the world can become purified also. Without our own purification, no one will become purified. Our family will not be purified, no one will be purified. And if we are sannyasi and without purified heart, who can we purify? Not even ourselves, what to speak of others. So therefore, this training of consciousness is so important. And Krishna stresses it throughout the Bhagavad Gita. Training of consciousness, training of consciousness. And without serious attitude, this is not training of consciousness, even if we perform our sadhana daily. But if we are catching our rounds all day long, this is not this is not the proper training of consciousness. Yes. Should devote ourselves completely to chanting. To chant, if possible, everything in one go, and without any distraction. Just chanting, no speaking, no doing anything else, not looking through the window, just Krishna, just the holy name. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Or we should end? Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Pramanandi. Please accept my humble obeisances.